What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Psychology of Spirituality. We have a really special episode today where we visited a Hare Krishna temple. So the Krishna Consciousness Movement is an offshoot of Hinduism. Madhava was very generous, kind enough to bring us into a prayer ceremony. He even gave us sweets, which we call mithai. Afterwards, he even gave us a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, which I've been reading. I really like their take on spirituality. It adopts more of a perennialist philosophy. So, that's that idea that many rivers flow into one ocean. So regardless of your faith, regardless of who you are, using that tool of self-reflection to enable higher levels of consciousness, that's something that's very important and vital, because it exists within all of us and it's just a matter of tapping into it. So without any further ado, let's get right into our visit. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Psychology of Spirituality. We are here in the beautiful Hare Krishna Temple in Houston, Texas, sitting with Madhava, who was generous enough to invite us. For those of you who are joining the channel for the first time, my name is Saeed. I am a PhD student in psychology, and I study the area of spirituality and how it enables better life satisfaction, positive mood, how it's a coping mechanism. I like to look at it as like a shield. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we need a shield. So spirituality is a very effective shield against the forces of depression, anxiety, purely scientifically. But through this channel, I also want to understand how people relate spirituality to their everyday experiences and through the course of their life. So I study it particularly in the Muslim American community and through Islam. But I want to expand my horizons and understand spirituality as it relates to other people. So I'm sitting here with Madhava and give a small introduction.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. My name is Madhava Charan Das, and I am a member of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, or ISKON for short. And we are sitting here at the Hare Krishna Temple. And by profession, I am an IT consultant. I graduated from Texas A&M University, College Station, with an MBA. And for past 6 years, I have been working in different roles in consulting. So thank you very much for being here and giving me this chance to talk to you about spirituality, and I hope in some way I can help the audience understand how important spirituality is.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madhava. So we can get right into the questions. And first and foremost, Madhava, what is spirituality to you? What does that mean to you?
Great. So spirituality comes from the word spirit, and if we see every living entity is, according to Bhagavad Gita or Krishna, every living entity is a spirit soul. If you see human beings, animals, plants, every living creature is a spirit soul. So what does that mean? That means that even though we are a spirit soul, but we have a different body. For example, different, like you're wearing a dark blue shirt versus I'm wearing a light blue shirt.
Baby blue.
Yeah, or a baby blue shirt. So we have different dresses, but on a spiritual level, we all are same. We all are equal. Okay. So that spirit, now we have spirit. So where does that spirit come from? So there has to be a source, like we see anything like there is a source to sunlight, sun is a source to sunlight. Similarly, the Supreme Spirit, or if we see in other words, like we say Krishna or Allah or Jehovah or God, so they are the original supreme being or the supreme soul. and through them is the spirit soul comes, and then that's how the spirituality comes into being. So when spirit is there, there is spirituality. Now again, the symptom of the spirit soul is consciousness, right? So I will give you a very, very good example here. When we see, like we are sitting here, we are talking to each other, and if I pinch you, or if I hit you, you will get hurt, right? So how is that? Why is that different than versus if I'm dead, right? Yeah. If I'm lying on my bed, you can kick me, you may hurt me, you may chop me, I won't feel anything. Yeah. Why? What's the difference? Because the consciousness is missing. Yeah. So, and that consciousness is missing because the spirit has left the body. Mm-hmm. So that ultimately means that the spiritual being who was in the body is no longer in the body. Mm-hmm. So that takes you to the next body and so forth and so on. So anyway, so in for our understanding, spirit soul is the powerhouse for keeping this body active, okay, right? And when this spirit soul leaves, then there is no spiritual energy, and this body is a lump of matter.
The body is a vessel.
It's a vessel.
And the spirit
is the driver.
There's a metaphysical power to it.
Yes.
It can exist without the body.
Exactly. You got it. Exactly. Okay. So right now the spirit soul it's a spiritual entity, but it's living in a material body, right? And then this is coming from, as I was saying earlier, from the Supreme Being, Krishna, or in different traditions we call him Allah or God, Jehovah. Now, you were mentioning how people are depressed, or people are in anxiety, or they are not happy in general, right? Why is that? Because there is a very big misunderstanding. There's a very big misunderstanding. And that misunderstanding is that we are thinking I'm this body. I'm thinking I'm this Indian body. Somebody's thinking they are American body. Yeah. A cat is thinking she's cat. A tree is thinking is tree. So different bodies, we think we are that person. But again, as I was saying, on a spiritual level, we are a spirit soul.
We limit our language just to the material, just to the eye, to the body.
Right.
When it exists into a plane higher than that. In fact, many planes higher than that. Mm-hmm. We can reach those levels of consciousness through different practices, through different spiritual practices.
Exactly. So, exactly what you said is perfect. So once we understand that, we are not this body, it's temporary, but the spirit soul is eternal. It does not have any beginning or end, right? Then we understand, okay, so what do we do? Then we drive our attention or our efforts on daily basis to feed the soul. Just like, for example, we eat, right? We go to work, we drive, we go for entertainment. We do so many things to keep up this body. We go for a run, right? Similarly, that spiritual entity, which is us, also has some needs. And that need is connecting to the Supreme Being or the Supreme Spirit Soul. And once that Spirit Soul is connected to the Supreme Soul through different methods, there is no hunger for the Spirit Soul. And when that Spirit Soul is satisfied, it does not go through any depression, it does not go through any anxiety, it does not go through any unhappiness. Because we are not feeding that spirit soul right now. There are different ways to do that. We can, do meditation, we can do yoga. Now again, yoga are different types of yogas. If we see in our situation right now, it's very hard to just stay put in one position, right? Just to think of something for too long. I mean, we cannot really control our mind, like even for 1 second, you're always thinking something.
Our mind controls us. We don't control
Exactly,
the mind.
right?
Yeah.
So the meditation where we say dhyana yoga or meditation is not very practical because, as you said, our mind is controlling us.
Yeah.
So the practice of meditation or dhyana yoga is to control the mind, right? Not the mind controls us.
Yeah.
So that's not very practical because it's very hard. Second is through the Ashtanga yoga, which is 8 different practices, which is like sitting in certain posture, bending in different posture, breathing in certain ways, things like that. So like these days we see there are so many yoga studios, right? But that's just a glimpse of what actual Ashtanga yoga is. That's not a fully Ashtanga yoga. That's more for the bodily. Again, that's for the bodily.
They separate the physical and the spiritual.
Exactly.
It has to be put together.
Yes, one has to be put together.
For the maximum benefit.
For the maximum benefit, right. And so they are only focusing on the material platform or on the body platform.
Getting us pecs and getting,
exactly.
Six-pack.
Right. So not on the spiritual. So that spiritual practice is missing. So that means, again, there is hunger of the soul, right? Now the next level or the topmost type of yoga or spiritual practice is called Bhakti Yoga, right? And before I explain what Bhakti Yoga is a Sanskrit word which means yoga, which means to connect, right? To connect to somebody, right? And now Bhakti means love and devotion, right? So now this Bhakti and Yoga, so the love and devotion connected to who, right? So that who is the Supreme Being or the source of the spirituality, right? Now there are different ways to do that. So Bhakti Yoga, as I was saying, it's the yoga of love. So what do we do when we are in love? We can do so many things for the person we love.
Stupid things sometimes.
Even stupid things, right? People will do so many things, right?
But it's coming from a pure source.
Yeah, okay. But it's coming from the pure source because the supreme spiritual person is the purest, right? There is no material contamination. He does not think, oh, I'm this body, right? Because he does not have a material body, right? He's a complete spiritual being, right? Now, to connect to that spiritual being, we have to do things on a spiritual platform, right? And when we do things on a spiritual platform with love, then that is connected to the spiritual being, the supreme spiritual being. So, for example, simple things like singing, right? Offering, like whatever we eat, right? Offering that to the Supreme Being, like Krishna in our tradition, we offer to him before we eat. Certain way of dressing, like I'm wearing these 2 lines and a leaf on my nose, that's also part of the spiritual practice. So anytime somebody sees me, or if I see myself in the mirror, it reminds me, okay, I'm not this body, I'm the spiritual soul, right? Coming to the temple, or going to the mosque, or going to a synagogue, or going to a Catholic church, or wherever, that's all to remind us, okay, there is a higher personality, a spiritual being that we need to understand our relation to, right? So like this beautiful temple, why do we have this beautiful temple? Even just somebody who drives by, they will see, oh yeah, there is something really interesting, so let me go check out, right? And when they come here, we are here to help them understand what this spirituality means. Now, sometimes people misunderstand, spirituality and religion. To give a very clear definition, religion is based on the material body, the bodily platform, right? Versus the spirituality is based on the spirit soul. Right? So as I was saying...
Can't have one without the other.
Yeah. I mean...
if you're dealing with just religion, it's just practices for the sake of practicing.
For the sake of practicing.
It, but if you infuse it with spirituality, that's when you get the
maximum benefit. Right, exactly. So so like, you know, so it does not mean that spirituality is independent of religion, right? It's a fusion. It's a combination.
Sure.
Now that also does not mean that, you know, that there is a certain practice for certain group of people, right? Because again, spirituality is on a higher realm than the material level, right? Now here in our society, for example, we have people from all different religions. Even some of our gurus or acharyas, or we say prophets or popes, for example, they have been from Muslim religion, they have been from Christianity, so different religions, because that's a bodily concept. But here we are giving you the spiritual knowledge, so that does not really mean that a person from a different culture or from a different body cannot understand spirit soul, because ultimately we are all spirit souls.
Yes.
Anything that we do, even like, you know, I'm a professional, I'm an IT professional, so that does not mean I have left my profession. I'm still working. I go do 8 to 5 job. I still go out. I still hang out with friends.
Yeah.
But anytime I do any activity, I try to connect it to the Supreme Being.
I think that's what spirituality does.
Yes.
Because we have a tendency to compartmentalize. Religion is on Sunday, work is on Monday to Friday. But the spirituality should be across the board.
Yes.
Even while you're at work.
Yes.
Even while you're in school, even when you're dealing with your family.
Right.
Shouldn't be a...
Yes. Exactly. Like, I'm so glad, Saeed. I'm so impressed. Like you are so, you know, it's so easy to, you know, that I can relate to you, that it's so easy for you to understand
yoga
these
connection.
things. Yeah, the yoga connection. Yes. So yeah, exactly like you were saying. It's not, we don't have to silo these. Okay, we have to, I have to be spiritual when I only come to the temple.
Exactly,
no, you can be spiritual even right now. We are not in the temple, but we are talking about these spiritual activities. So it's a spiritual thing, right? It's a spiritual talk.
Exactly.
Right. Anything, like when I go to work, I keep that in mind, that I'm a spirit soul. My colleagues are also spirit soul. So we have these differences, right? One person may have one opinion, I may have a different. But on a higher realm, if we understand, okay, what is the ultimate goal? Ultimate goal is to be happy and as a whole, right? And when we understand then I don't have to, okay, we may have a different opinion, but I don't have to hate each other, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to hate you because you have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Also, like if we see in today's world, there are so many wars, there are so many, borders. Why? Because we are not understanding that we are spirit soul. We are equal on a higher platform, but different on a lower platform, which is the material platform.
We're dealing with
Yeah. So if we understand that, and if we understand our relation to the Supreme Person, and once we understand that relation to the Supreme Person as a part and parcel of that Supreme Person, then we understand that everybody, all living entities are also the part and parcel of the same Supreme Father.
I shouldn't curse at that person who cut me off in traffic.
Right.
Because that person is also another spiritual soul.
Yeah.
Just like
us.
Who I am.
Yeah. And just like, anything, like if I want to be a doctor, if I want to be an engineer, if I want to be a lawyer, I have to go through a process.
Yeah.
I cannot just say, because I know what spirituality means, I'm a spiritual being. No, it takes some practice that helps us understanding the spiritual science deeper, and also practicing it.
Yeah.
Like an engineer, he may have a degree, but unless he has done some training, unless he have actually the right education, the right practice, that helps us understand the goal we are trying to achieve. And then we actually follow it, then that is spirituality.
Okay.
So not just talking about it and not following it. right? So again,
there's a method. There's a method.
There is a method, yeah. There is a process, right?
Okay.
So the process is fully 100% dedicated to identify ourselves as a spirit soul.
Very nice.
Right? Same thing in Islam, we do that too. Same thing in our practice, we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra on our beads every day. And that reminds us, okay, who we are. What is our connection to the Supreme Being? Same thing, like if you go in a mosque, if you go to a church, if you go to a temple, we all bow down to the Supreme Person.
Yep.
So it's all the same, because ultimately we can see that we are all spiritual beings, and we understand that maybe on a subtle level, not on a gross level, not on our day-to-day practice, but we understand that on a subtle level, but we have to brush that up to have that clear vision, okay, we are spirit soul.
It's very interesting hearing Madhava speak, because I see many parallels with the Krishna movement and Islam. You know, we have that remembrance, that reaching a higher consciousness through dhikr, through remembrance of God, through break this hijab, which is usually seen as a covering of a woman, but we can also use the term to apply to the illusion that we put over our eyes, a veil, a hijab that we put towards divinity, towards divine truth, towards al-haq, which we call truth. And we need to constantly remember God and become practice of humility through spiritual practices to reach that level of consciousness. So I thank Madhava once again for having us here in this beautiful temple. And maybe the last thing you can say for the people watching is, what do you think is the most important takeaway in applying your spiritual practices into people's daily lives to maybe make a happier world?
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. Again, you know, as I was saying, practice is important, right?
Practice, yeah.
So again, people may think spirituality is so hard to do, but it's not. Every day when I wake up, I pray. I acknowledge that I'm part and parcel of Krishna, and I'm a spirit soul. And then I spend 2 hours every day chanting on my beads. The mantra I chant is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's a way to connect, because it's a spiritual mantra, so it connects me instantaneously to the supreme spiritual being, Krishna, right? Then again, the food that I eat is sanctified. It's first offered to Krishna, so it makes it spiritual food, right? So it's both matter but spiritualized matter, right? So it satisfies my material body and also my spiritual needs, right? Same thing like when I go to work. So before I go to work, I remember, okay, again, Krishna is a supreme being, and we all are part and parcel of Krishna. My workers, my manager, we all are brothers and sisters. We may have differences, but that does not mean that we hate each other or we don't. Ultimately the goal is to love each other, right? By practice, by connecting ourselves to the spiritual being. I also go out to park, I also play sports, I also do things. But again, once I understand that this body is temporary, but the spiritual being that I am is eternal, and what activity I'm doing is because of that spirit soul, because that is the powerhouse. That is
the spirit drives the body doesn't drive the spirit, right?
Yes, okay. Yes, yeah. So because there is a spirit, so it's in other words I can say we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. So once we understand that we are spiritual beings in different bodies, in American body, in Indian body, whatever, African body, then we are on that spiritual platform. And coming to the temple, we have every Sunday, programs here at our temple. So that's also spiritual practice. What I'm doing right now, I'm trying to explain you spiritual matter. That's also a spiritual practice, right? So we can be all spiritual just by understanding that what spirit is, who I am, and what is a supreme spiritual being, Krishna, Allah, God. You can call him by any name.
Yeah.
It's not a monopoly of one person.
Thank you so much, Madhava. I really like what he said. I mean, you can like look at it through the scientific method, right? You collect data first, come up with a hypothesis, and then you put the application, and that's the most important part, the application. So I thank you, Madhava, so much.
Sure.
If people are interested in the Krishna movement, where can they go online? Is there a website that they can reach?
Yes. So we have a website, ISKON, ISKCON, Houston.org. Every Sunday at our temple in Houston, 1320 West 34th Street, 77018. We have an open house where we invite everyone, and you come and we will welcome you here. We have spiritual activities, as I was saying. We do chanting, Hare Krishna chanting. We also have dancing. We do Bhagavad Gita discourse, and then we have spiritual food for you. So you don't have to go back home and cook. So we will give you full meal here, and feel free to come here anytime during the week as well. But Sunday is our prime time, so please come and visit us on Sunday.
Thank you guys once again for joining us. Don't forget to hit subscribe and support our channel. I want to thank Madhava once again. Sure. Thank you so much for having us, and I look forward to future conversations with you.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Peace
Hare
out,
Krishna.
Salam.